Welcome to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Now here along with Dr. Bonati, your host, Kimberly Brumell.
Well, thank you for joining us for American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Brumell. We have our friend Aaron Jacobson. He's in for Ethan Euchre, who's vacationing, so thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's good to be back. It's been a while.
Yes, and to my side, we have our senior fellow, Jeff Wagstaff.
Good afternoon.
And across from me, I have world-renowned orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Alfred Bonati of the Bonati Spine Institute. Thank you for sharing your time with us, sir.
You're welcome.
Well, you know, week after week, it's always important to point out the differences between the Bonati spine procedures and what others like to claim as minimally invasive spine surgery. Well, what sets them worlds apart is Dr. Bonati and the Bonati Spine Institute, because they have patented procedures that bring relief to the masses. And we're not just stating when we talk about success that, hey, you know, they performed a surgery and they washed their hands of it, but it is true patient pain resolve. We are getting patients back in motion. We have people that weren't able to do missionary work, and after the Bonati spine procedures, they're able to get back to that. They're able to do things like zip lining, really fun activities. So we have a 98.75% patient-reported satisfaction rate, and we are always proud to talk about that. The other thing that sets us apart from other procedures is the fact that they have conscious IV sedation. So you're not put completely under where you don't have a clue what's going on, but during the surgery, you're actually interacting with the surgeon, so they're able to pinpoint exactly where the problem is. With that said, they have their own patented tools and methods, and that's why Bonati succeeds where others fail. Coming up on the show, we have Mark Meckler, Citizens for Self-Governance. Is it time to organize conventions of states to stop the march of tyranny? We'll find out more about that. And then we have James O'Keefe from Project Veritas. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that proper.
I think so.
But he's an undercover journalist who's made headlines for his investigations into voter fraud and Obamacare exchanges, among other things. So we'll hear more about that. And then, of course, we'll hear what's new in American Medicine Today. But up first,
In today's Back to Life segment, we will talk to a patient of the Bonati Spine Institute who went from living a life that was restricted by pain and discomfort through their journey of finding the Bonati Spine Institute and are now living pain-free.
well, I would like to welcome to the program Dr. Bill Jones, who is on the line from Bradenton. He runs a charter school called the Manatee School for the Arts. Well, thank you very much for being on the program, sir.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure to be here.
Why don't you tell us what your problem with your back was and kind of walk us through that process, how you found out about Dr. Bonati and then made your way to the Bonati Spine Institute and kind of how you're feeling now?
Oh, sure. Well, I started having pain in my shoulders and shooting down my arm and into my legs, getting progressively worse very quickly. And we couldn't pinpoint any trauma or anything like that. It just came on sort of suddenly and progressed very rapidly. A lot of numbness in the fingers and tingling, and reaching the point that I could hardly walk. I fell a couple of times. My legs gave out. I was using a cane, walking very hunched over. And it was very debilitating, very, very quickly.
Dr. Jones, do you mind if I interrupt you for just a second?
Sure.
Were you in an accident? How did this pain come on?
No, that's the funny thing. There wasn't an accident or anything like that. Like we halfway joked about it. I think I've been overweight for a long time and probably had bad posture and put a lot of stress on those discs, and at some point I think I had some lung issues. One winter I got an upper respiratory infection, did an awful lot of coughing, and I think maybe one of those coughing spells just created too much pressure, and two of those weakened discs let go.
Oh,
Sounds like you were
painful.
some pretty incredible pain, though, before you reached out to the Bonati Institute.
Oh, yes. Yeah, the pain was pretty extensive. Like I say, it was what I would call debilitating.
Dr. Jones, tell us how you heard about the Bonati Spine Institute and what led you to them.
Well, that's an interesting story. After spending, quite a few years in medical education, I'm a PhD. I'm not a clinician, but I worked as director of continuing medical education at a medical school in Huntington, West Virginia, there at Marshall University, and I've also worked in some alternative medicine areas. And we came back to Florida in '93, and among the other adventures that I got involved in, I was a regional manager for a physician recruiting firm out of Sarasota. Mm-hmm. And one of my clients at one point was the Bonati Institute.
Oh, okay.
And I was basically engaged to help them find, upcoming young surgeons who had an aptitude that Dr. Bonati could train in his methods and so forth, and make them into world-class surgeons. So anyway, as part of that, I did a lot of research and background work, and I was pretty impressed at the time with the outcomes. I had enough background that I could interpret what I was seeing, and knew what the stories were and could read the literature and so forth. So with that in the background, when this occurred, I immediately thought that the minimally invasive approach would undoubtedly, in my mind, be the best, even though I did consult a neurosurgeon locally who, of course, wanted to do wire baskets and metal plates and all kinds of marvelous things that I was not interested in. So I did call the Bonati Institute and, made an appointment for an MRI review. I checked out some of the other, and I looked around the country, quite honestly, to see what the state of the art was, years after I had originally been in contact, and was pleased to find that Bonati was still, right up at the top there. And after doing some searching and talking, I ended up there at the Institute.
What was it like for you, though, when you came in? You had some background already on the Institute, which was good. What was it like when you went through your evaluation?
Oh, it was very satisfactory. I mean, it was very encouraging. I felt it was very complete. The folks really, I think, what was the fellow's name? Ken, who was there?
Yes.
Helping out was exquisite. My doctor was Dr. Grossmith, I believe it is.
Yes.
And he was fantastic. Everybody that I encountered, and like I say, I've hired and fired a lot of folks, and I'd have kept every one of the folks there that I met. It was a very pleasant experience. Very pleased with it.
When the day of surgery, I have to ask, we always ask this of the patients, did you watch the surgery?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Did you watch your surgery?
Yes, I did. I'm one of those folks who's very interested. I try to watch, procedures whenever I can, and I've never seen this one. I've seen a lot of other procedures, and been an observer. Right. It was pretty fascinating.
And we should remind our listeners that when the patients undergo the Bonati surgery, the Bonati spine procedure, they're under conscious IV sedation, which relaxes them. In many cases, they're very, very relaxed, but they're still conscious and alert so they can interact with the surgeons.
Oh, absolutely.
Did you know why he did that versus putting you all the way under?
Well, certainly. I understood that as they're working, particularly around the spinal column there, and the spinal cord, they need to know where the pressure is, what nerves are being affected, and the best way to do that is ask you while they're working on it. Make sure that they are doing what they think they're doing and get the problem solved. I suppose it sounds a little daunting at first, but once you get involved, it was a very positive experience.
There's a question that Dr. Bonati wanted to ask. If before you came to us, did you seek out any other doctor's advice about what your back problem was at that time? Did you seek out any alternative treatments?
Did I get another doctor's advice?
Yes, prior to coming to the Institute.
I probably shouldn't tell you his name, but he's a very high-ranking official in another state who oversees at least 3 medical schools.
Okay.
And it was kind of interesting because, sometimes folks in mainstream medicine are a little loath to come out and tell you, oh, yeah, go see somebody. Mm-hmm. But he and I are very good friends, go back to elementary school here in Manatee County. Mm-hmm. And he was very encouraging. Basically what he said was, you've got to get the pressure off that nerve or it's going to be permanent. And that's what scared me as well. But he said, talk to those guys because whatever you do, don't let the other folks cut on you, with the baskets and the plates and all that. So, he was very encouraging for me to pursue Dr. Bonati's approach to this problem.
Dr. Jones, after going through the procedure, how are you feeling?
I've really not had any pain since the last procedure. I had 2 procedures done. I had 2 different levels that we had to work on, and after the second one, I've been pain-free for years now.
$1 million question: would you recommend the Bonati Spine Institute to friends and family who are also suffering from neck or backing?
I have to laugh when people say that because, I always tell people, sure, give more conservative treatments a try. And, if you can do it with decompression or different things like that and maintain your quality of life, more power to you. But at some point, don't mess around. For me, this procedure worked. It worked incredibly well. I would absolutely, and you guys know I'm not being compensated for any of this. I would absolutely recommend that you let the folks at Bonati at least review your case, evaluate it, and I feel like their advice is always good.
Well, Dr. Jones, we're up against a break. We'd like to thank you for joining us, and we'd also probably be remiss if we didn't wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year this time of year.
Oh, I appreciate it, and like I say, I feel like I made a real good decision, and I appreciate what those folks do, and that they're still doing it, and I encourage people to check it out.
Well, Dr. Jones, thank you for joining us. Kimberly, if people are suffering from neck and back problems out there, how can they reach the Bonati Spine Institute?
Well, they can reach out at 855-267-0483 or visit Bonati.com. Coming up after the break, we're going to speak with Mark Meckler, Citizens for Self-Governance, to find out if it's time to organize a convention of states to stop the march of tyranny. You'll hear more coming up. Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain-free after 18 years, and it's just wonderful. I love it.
Phenomenal results, no pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone, nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now, I can garden, I can cook, and I'm really thrilled. The outcome has been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time, and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact, I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Brumell.
Thank you for joining us for American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Brumell, joined by Aaron Jacobson, in for Ethan Euchre, being our producer today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
We have our senior fellow, Jeff Wagstaff, sitting to my right.
Present, accounted for, plugged in, ready to go.
Ready to rock and roll. And across from me, we have world-renowned orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Alfred Bonati.
Hello. A man of few words.
And on the line, well, we're excited. Mark Meckler, one of the nation's most effective grassroots activists and president of Citizens for Self-Governance, on to talk about the topic, is it time to organize a convention of states to stop the march of tyranny? Well, welcome to the show, Mark.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's an honor to be with you guys.
Oh, well, thank you. I want to hear more about this because, the 2014 elections passed and, you hear the Democrats going, oh, that wasn't any big wonder, but they were uprooted from a lot of the seats they held and Republicans are now in. So why don't you talk to us more about that?
From my perspective, we know the history of the election. Obviously, that's behind us. Mm-hmm. And the Republicans took the Senate. They took a bigger House than the majority. And while I certainly lean Republican, I lean conservative, really, not so much Republican.
Okay.
And I don't have a lot of faith in the Republicans in the House and Senate to do anything good. I think we're seeing that right now with the bill that's being passed, the omnibus spending bill. What I saw in the elections that was really exciting to me is what happened in the states. And in the states, I haven't seen the final total. I think there's still a few undecided races. But
yes.
Republicans, liberty-minded folks picked up something like 260, 270 seats in state legislatures.
Mm-hmm.
You now have 31 states where both houses are controlled by Republicans, 23 states where we have the governorship also. So what that means is that the country at the state level, which is where I think the power should be, is moving in a more conservative direction. And I think that bodes well for the country.
It certainly does.
Mark, question for you. As you were speaking, I was trying to remember back to my American government classes. I'm wondering if any of our listeners may be having the same question. What's the difference between a convention of states and a constitutional convention?
That's an important question, and obviously when you're dealing with the law, and especially the Constitution, language matters. And so a constitutional convention is what we lawyers call a plenipotentiary convention. And what that means is it's a convention where there essentially are no rules, that the Constitution as it exists would be completely thrown out. We'd be starting from scratch. Mm-hmm. In 1787, that's what we had. We had a plenipotentiary convention. A convention of states is a term that comes from Article 5, and Article 5 of our Constitution say that the states have the ability to call a convention of states for proposing amendments to the Constitution. So that convention operates under the strictures of the existing Constitution and specifically Article 5.
It would be dangerous, though, if we had a constitutional convention, correct?
Well, it's just a completely different thing. And so, yeah, I guess you could say it would be dangerous. We don't really have anything in our Constitution that provides for a constitutional convention. There's really no specific authority to allow that to happen. The founders put in the second clause of Article 5 It's really an interesting story. George Mason stood up with 2 days left to go in the convention and said that they had made a terrible mistake, that they had only given Congress the power to amend the Constitution. And he asked the question of the delegates present, are we really so naive that we believe that Congress would propose amendments, or in the president, to restrain their own tyranny? The answer was so obviously no, that would never happen, that the idea of adding in the rights of states to do it was adopted unanimously, and Madison's notes reflect that it was without any debate.
Well, this is something very interesting. My point is what do we need to do to mobilize something like that? Because really, the country is in the wrong direction. Even if it is a political turnaround by the voters, still the people who is in command in Washington, D.C., they're not going to do anything that's going to aggravate their position. So this situation that you are proposing, the Convention of States, what do we need to do, how we need to promote that one, and how is possible that we can mobilize masses to really do this?
Sure. So, it's not only possible, it's happening right now. So it takes 34 states to call for that convention. That application, or the call, has already been passed in Georgia and Florida and Alaska. We now have sponsors in 29 states around the country heading into the 2015 session. That'll be probably closer to 39 by the time the session opens. So we've got it moving in the states. And the main thing is for folks to be calling their representatives and supporting it in all the states where it has not yet passed. And for states where it has passed, the important thing is for folks to go to conventionofstates.com, sign up as supporters. Whether it's passed in your state or not yet, you're going to be required when we get to the 34 states. We're going to need your help organizing the convention and getting the states to assign their delegates, and then ultimately in ratifying amendments that restrain federal tyranny.
So I'm guessing you think it's just a matter of time at this point. How long do you think it's going to be for this problem to find a solution?
Well, I have a very different answer today than I had 6 months ago. I thought it would take much longer than it is taking, and the reason is this sea change that we saw in the last election. We have a lot of states where it seemed impossible prior to November. A great example, I live in California. Right next door, across the border from me, is Nevada. Nevada, both houses flipped from Democrat to Republican. We had no chance of even getting the bill introduced as of last year, or as of last cycle. After this election cycle, now we're going to introduce it, and we're likely going to pass it in Nevada. So we could literally get to convention. We could get the 34 states in the 2015 session. We've got all kinds of presidential candidates that are chasing us now and poking around and asking about endorsing. So I think we're going to get it done in 2015.
Mark, we're about a minute and a half up against a hard break, but what can this show and the listeners of this show do to move your agenda forward?
So the most important thing they can do is go to conventionofstates.com. They can get educated, and then they could reach out to their friends all across the country and get them involved. We need 34 states. So we've got, like I said, Florida, Georgia, and Alaska, but they can go to conventionofstates.com, get educated, send those links around the country, get people to join us on Facebook, because this truly is a citizen movement. It doesn't happen without the citizens.
I think we need to put that website up on our webpage to let people know that this is what they need to do to take back control of our country.
We appreciate it, and the only way we can do an end run around a Congress and a president that are intransigent and will never give us our power back is conventionofstates.com.
Wow. Fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Mark Meckler is president of Citizens for Self-Governance and certainly a patriot. Thanks for joining us on American Medicine Today.
Thanks for having me.
Take care, Mark. Well, if you or anyone you know is suffering with neck, back, or sciatic pain, they can definitely reach out to the Bonati Spine Institute because there is true patient resolve. You can reach out at 855-267-0483 or visit Bonati.com. Coming up, we're going to speak to James O'Keefe, Project Veritas, an undercover journalist who made headlines for his investigations on voter fraud and the Obamacare exchanges, among others. We'll catch you next after the break.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain-free after 18 years. And it's just wonderful. I love it.
Phenomenal results. No pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone. Nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already, I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now. I can garden. I can cook. And I'm really thrilled. The outcome's been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time, and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact, I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Brumell.
Thanks for continuing to listen to American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Brumell, joined by Aaron Jacobson. He's in for Ethan Euchre. He's producing our show. Great job. Thanks for being here. And to my right, we have 175 pounds of
screaming steel and sex appeal.
That, everyone, is our senior fellow, Jeff Wagstaff.
I was just teasing Kimberly before the break because I didn't think she would ever use that intro on the air, and then she came back and embarrassed me with it.
What a Christmas gift you just gave everyone.
And across from me, we have the smiling, world-renowned orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Alfred Bonati of the Bonati Spine Institute.
I'm ashamed to be associated with this group.
I've just been demoted from senior fellow.
I really wish some of you were privy to what happens behind the scenes because there's a lot of fun that happens here. But on a serious note, we have James O'Keefe, and he is founder and president of Project Veritas. Hopefully I pronounced that right, James, but we'd like to welcome you to the show. And you are an undercover journalist who is author of Breakthrough, Our Guerrilla War to Expose Fraud and Save Democracy. So welcome to the program.
Great to be with you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, James.
I think it's so important what you do because it draws attention to all the ludicrous stuff that's happening right now with our administration, and I'm so glad you played such an important role in the 2014 elections.
Yeah, I mean, our videos had an enormous impact on the elections in 5 different states, most recently Louisiana. We exposed fraud. We exposed people telling us to vote twice. We exposed a corrupt political system in Louisiana where U.S. attorneys were going online and commenting anonymously about defendants they were prosecuting.
Mm-hmm.
We exposed non-citizens voting in North Carolina. We exposed racism inherent in Colorado, telling people to go harvest African American ballots, people who don't vote. And this had such an impact that it led Bloomberg News to conclude that our organization, Project Veritas, actually influenced the elections indirectly. We never canvassed for anybody or supported a Republican, but by exposing the fraud, it really opened people's eyes.
Kimberly, I was exposed to James and his work. I first saw you, James, on the Fox News channel with the undercover video with Acorn, I think is how I was introduced to your work. And then I remember you did some great work with Planned Parenthood. We're dying to know what's next.
The question is, what isn't next? Everyone sends us so many ideas that everything is a story these days. The system is broken. There's fraud, waste, abuse, corruption, incompetence, and hypocrisy in every corner of every government alley. So really, it will do everything. As far as what is the priority, it's really things that we can visualize. Things like the Veterans Administration scandal and these scandals. I saw a great video where it was a mockery of a Taylor Swift song, "Shake It Off," and it was like Obama just shaking off all the different scandals. We spend a week on this scandal, and then before we know it, we're on the next scandal. So what we're going to do at Project Veritas is spend maybe a month just going in depth into maybe that IRS scandal and exposing on video some things that people had not seen when the news cycle was moving on to the next thing.
James, I'm glad you brought up Barack Obama. I saw in our pre-interview research that we all know that you are a true provocateur, but we saw in the research that you recently crossed the U.S. border dressed as Osama bin Laden. Tell us about that.
That was back in August. Yes, I crossed the Rio Grande River from Mexico, Guadalupe, Mexico, into Hudspeth County, Texas, 60 miles southeast of southwest Texas, and it's really more like a muddy drainage ditch in that part of the state. I was expecting like the Mississippi River. It's only 30 feet wide. And to demonstrate the absurdity of the assertion by many of our representatives that the borders are secure, we showed that our borders are not secure by dressing like a terrorist and crossing. And it had an enormous impact. It was covered internationally. It actually prompted the terrorist group ISIS to make a comment about how, well, O'Keefe can cross the Rio Grande, maybe we should too. ISIS's reaction, the terrorists seeing me doing that, prompted the Texas Department of Public Safety to issue a response, which prompted the federal government to issue a response. So the point is, we're kind of using the Alinsky tactics against the Alinskyites. We're forcing a reaction, and the reaction produces another reaction ad infinitum, prompting social change, and the Department of Homeland Security was forced to testify in Congress. John McCain asked them, why didn't you stop O'Keefe when he crossed the border? So our videos, our guerrilla reporting does prompt social change, and it sort of lights a fire under the flames of our representatives to do something about problems.
James, when you were crossing that border, did you encounter Border Patrol, law enforcement, the National Guard,
anything,
militias,
anything,
drug smugglers?
We did not encounter federal Border Patrol. The local sheriffs are pleading to the federal government for help, and we did encounter them. And in the video that we released, the Hudspeth County Sheriff Arvin West, he told me, he's like, if you just give me, I can't remember, I think it was 80 guys in the entire county, just stretch the border. He said, I will not let anything through. And the Federal Border Patrol were all along Interstate 10, which was about 15 miles inland or so, on the highway, stopping American citizens and asking them if they're citizens. But there was nobody on the border. I mean, I could have walked across. In fact, I walked across so many times, I even found an old footbridge. It's like a cast iron catwalk where if you don't want to get your feet wet, you can actually walk back and forth, and that's what we did. And we saw lots of evidence of other people who have been there. And our videos really change the narrative from this is racist, and if you want to secure the border, you're a racist, you hate children, etc., to national security. That this is a problem that ISIS can cross. And I think that was one of the things that led to that discussion in September.
Now, in a way, were you trying to get caught and it just didn't happen?
Well, I mean, no. I mean, I did my research enough to know that I would not get caught. It shouldn't surprise anybody. I mean, one of the first things everyone always says is, I'm not surprised when we release a video. But we confirm suspicions. We prove what people suspect. And I knew that when I went there, I was probably not going to get caught. But it was pretty dangerous because you're in Mexico.
Right.
And there are drug cartels. So I was standing pretty close to the Rio Grande, and I was not breaking American law, but I was breaking Mexican law by illegally kind of entering their country. So it was definitely sort of a terrifying experience.
James, hypothetically, when you were in Mexico, you instead of walking across, you had a couple Jeeps that could very easily carry a few 100 pounds of cargo. And Lord knows what that cargo could be if it were terrorist. In your opinion, based on what you saw, do you think they'd have any trouble coming across the border in that area?
In my opinion, based on what I saw, they'd have no trouble. And Arvin West showed us his stash of drugs and weapons that he has found. And this is like a room, a massive room filled with so many drugs, $30-40 million worth of cocaine and heroin, and he's just overwhelmed. And I don't, I think video is the best way to expose this stuff, because we can talk about it till we're blue in the face. But our video had 1 million views on YouTube, made the front page of all these papers, made CNN, and I think some people were seeing for the first time. There's actually a border fence down there that actually it just goes for like a mile and then stops for a mile, and then goes for a mile and then stops for a mile.
Because that helps, right?
Why would taxpayers spend money on something that's not even a full fence? It's like half a fence, and it's just absolutely absurd.
Right, because it's a facade of the government trying to say, well, gee, we've done something. But having spaces of open fence does nothing. And like you said, I think you just said they were 10 miles in, going up to cars to see if they were citizens or not, or what the deal was. But where they were really needed, they were absent.
That's right. They were needed along the border, and they were not on the border. And we actually did not see any Federal Border Patrol for miles. I actually walked through the desert towards Interstate 10. Mm-hmm. And was not bothered. So pretty amazing, but unsurprising, and proving our representatives are lying to us.
James, did you find, after all this exposure and all this time that was presented to the country, your work, did you find any solutions, or they just dump it and they ignore it?
Well, let me tell you something. This country and its citizens spend billions of dollars electing these politicians. And I'm a journalist. Mm-hmm. And I think we need less people proposing solutions and more people, citizens identifying problems. These people don't think there is a problem. Our representatives think the border is secure. They haven't even, it's like Alcoholics Anonymous when you identify a problem. They don't think there's a problem. Right. They think everything's fine. Most people don't even think the IRS scandal is a scandal. I was listening to MSNBC last night, and everyone was saying, "No, there's no DOJ scandal. There's no injustice. There's nothing happening. People don't think there's any problem." It's when you identify there's a problem that people come up with a solution.
Do they really think that?
Case in point, Acorn. We exposed abuse at Acorn, and in 7 days, Congress defunded Acorn. President Obama signed legislation to take away funding from his own organization. Why? Because we identified a problem that was so irrefutable that nobody could contest it. That's the solution to our country's problems, to identify and expose waste, fraud, abuse, and injustice, forcing politicians to do something about it. I don't have the solutions because I'm not an expert at coming up with solutions. Right. I'm an expert at exposing waste, fraud, abuse, and lies.
Well, we're glad you're out there, James, because without you, we probably would be sheltered by the politicians and not know this was going on. I don't think it's so much that people don't know there's a problem, but they're just ignorant to it because the politicians keep it under their caps. With that said, thank you for taking part in the show. We have James O'Keefe, founder and president of Project Virtus. We'd love to have you on the show again in the future.
Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you or someone you know is suffering with neck, back, or sciatic pain, reach out to the Bonati Spine Institute, 855-267-0483, or visit Bonati.com. Coming up after the break, we're going to hear what's new in American medicine today.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain-free after 18 years. And it's just wonderful. I love it.
Phenomenal results. No pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone. Nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already, I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now. I can garden. I can cook. And I'm really thrilled. The outcome's been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time, and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact, I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Brumell.
You're listening to American Medicine Today, brought to you by the Bonati Spine Institute. I'm Kimberly Brumell, here with Aaron Jacobson. He's been great filling in for Ethan Euchre while he's on vacation.
Great to be here.
Driving the bus. And to my side, we have Jeff Wagstaff, our senior fellow.
Present, accounted for, and in the midst of the holidays.
Yeah, we're right to fire you.
No. Oh, that was mean, Dr. Bonati.
Oh no, we'll increase your exposure.
The Grinch who stole Christmas.
And I was such a fan.
And with that said, we're going to get right into new.
What is that?
Now it's time to see what Harry Reid, Nancy Pelosi, President Obama, and the Democrats have simmering in Washington, D.C. Let's see what's cooking in Barack's crock.
I don't like what's cooking, but take it away, Dr. Bonati. I think you want to talk about Obamacare's exploding cost, and it's causing a record number of middle-class families to delay medical care. I just find this disgusting and astounding all at the same time.
Yeah, I also heard a very disgusting noise. I think you need to blow your nose.
No, well, just the stink
Smelling
of what's thickening up in Barack's crock is enough to turn anybody's stomach. So why don't you take it from there?
Well, We have so much information today with so many people that they're really up in arms to every change that's happening in the country. But still, we do have big problems. One of the problems is we have 50% of the people that they are associated with the takers.
Yes.
These people are the family of the Democrats. They're not only directed as receivers of benefits,
correct,
but at the same time, they're individuals that they like the Robin Hood approach. Take from the people who works and get to the people who sitting in television in their living rooms and eating from the food obtained and paid by the government.
Correct.
With our work and our taxes. Now, but we have one other problem. We have economic capitalism here. One of the situations that's happened today with the healthcare and Obamacare, there are three types of the division on how these things approach. The children are not important, so they are going to assign very little amount of money to serve that.
Right.
And every time they're going to tighten up more, because they're not productive individuals of society.
Right.
The ones that they survive later on, when they start to produce, will be important for the Socialistic Party. But you have another group, is that the retirees. These people consume healthcare because they have problems associated with health. So also are a burden for the socialistic group of the Democrats. So we do have now a situation that becomes a paramount situation. And this is, who pays for all this crack? Well, if you are an individual and you are on the exchanges, your payment, and you are 20 or 30 years old, your payment on the insurance is going to elevate around 78%. And every year, till probably 2018, 2020, every year is going to go higher and higher and higher. They are not really interested on give health care to the American population. They're interested to pass laws that they will allow them to continue as a party in the government.
Right.
But you know what? Thanks God that this bullet that the Democrats were creating in healthcare fire in the wrong direction.
Right. Can I just interject, because you mentioned how this is going to be affecting everyone for quite some years, and it actually states in this article that the House Ways and Means Committee released a calculation universally acceptable as accurate, and it showed Obamacare is going to assess over $1 trillion in taxes, mainly on the middle class, from 2013, so a couple years ago, to 2022.
Well, but that money also is collected by the government. And then the service of the money is again poorly distributed. So what happened at the end is we will be paying insurance that is worth it for a very small group, that is the people who practically doesn't have any income.
But the middle class is getting double whammied, because not only are there the incentives for the people that can't afford it, and that's already coming out of taxpayers' money, but then those same taxpayers are getting higher premiums, up to 78% higher.
Yeah, but the problem is not only that. The people who's going to receive these type of benefits are people that they are really not productive people in the country. They're not going to create business. They're not going to create ideas. They're not going to move this country forward. And they're taking for the people who really is trying to give jobs or is working or educating children to a better capacity, to better service for the country. But that's the people who is going to suffer. And as you said, that's the people, the middle class. Now, my problem here, and what I'm really happy, is that I see physicians start to realize that the best way to avoid the Obamacare ever sits in the country is to create different type of ideas. We're going to listen from a physician very soon that creates a type of practice like was in the past, that they, like it's a concierge type of medicine.
Right.
So the physicians start to walk out from the insurance of the government and the insurance of the business, because both are in bed and both are creating a very poor service to the patient. So in the very future, I think we're going to see ideas and concepts, and it's probably something that's going to happen very soon, is that doctors are going to create their own insurance, and they are going to, with that, correct this enormous health problem that is not really existent. It's created by the government in false pretenses and by the insurance companies with the idea to accumulate more wealth.
Wow, and I guess that's a look at Barack's crock for this week. I find it disgusting that the Americans have eaten this one hook, line, and sinker, and
lot to be carried on the backs of the American people.
it is. And it's disgusting. This was all passed off as, quote unquote, the Affordable Health Care Act, when it's been pretty much anything but. Well, you're listening to American Medicine Today, and if you or someone you know is suffering with neck, back, sciatic pain, RSD, migraines, they can reach out to the Bonati Spine Institute because there is true patient resolve. They can do so by calling 855-267-0483 or visiting Bonati.com. Keep in mind, we are nationally on Bloomberg on Saturdays and Sundays, so keep an eye out. For those of you that aren't too familiar with Bloomberg, look for Bloom, because that's their abbreviation for the show. And then we're on locally on WFTS ABC 28 at 7:30. So we'll check you out next week. And remember, you can tweet at Dr. Bonati. We'll catch you next time.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati Spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati Spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain-free after 18 years. And it's just wonderful. I love it.
Phenomenal results. No pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone. Nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already, I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now. I can garden. I can cook. And I'm really thrilled. The outcome's been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time, and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact, I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonatti created, perfected, and patented the Bonatti spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonatti invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonatti spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonatti succeeds where others fail.